In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Moleskine Classic Leather Notebook. I'll go over the specs, I'll do a paper test, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this notebook coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. Here we have the Moleskine Classic Leather Notebook. It comes in this nice box. And on the back here, we can see this is the Classic Leather Collection, ruled notebook, 176 lined pages, leather cover, 100 GSM, 68-pound acid-free paper, designed in Italy, made in China, and this is specifically the Sienna Brown. So this comes out, and here we have the notebook. Quite a nice looking notebook. So we have the leather one, and then here is the classic Moleskine, the leatherette cover. The big difference between these two, other than the leather cover on this one, is that this has 100 GSM paper. It is a much thicker paper, and as a result of that, you're having 176 pages versus 240 here. So you're giving up about 60 pages by going to the leather version. And if you look, you can see that the cover is also quite a bit thicker than the leatherette one. Okay, so let me put that one away for now. Let's take a look around here. We got Moleskine on the back. That is pretty much it. So we have elastic strap. Open that up. Have the paste down here. Looks pretty much just like the classic. Basically the same. And then we go right into lined pages. And in the back here, you have the usual stuff of a booklet that tells you about Moleskine, the history of Moleskine, and then you have a quality control sticker. So there's that. And that is really all of the features. Now, oh, and there's a bookmark, sorry. That's the feature. In terms of the ruling here, we are looking at 6mm rule, which is quite a narrow rule, I have to say. And then you have these pretty big margins at the top here. That's looking like about 17, 18. And at the bottom, looking at about 11mm. And the lines go edge to edge, and it is kind of a dark gray ruling there. Now, let's look at the paper performance. So here we can see the face of this does not look very good, and in fact it isn't particularly great. You get quite a bit of feathering here. And the Mont Blanc, which is quite, the OBB nib is quite a wide and wet nib. This looks awful. I mean, it's just feathering everywhere. It really doesn't look very good. You can even see a tiny touch of feathering with the Sailor Pro Gear, the fine, which is quite a fine nib. Everything else looks pretty nice though. Like the permanent markers, the face of it looks quite good. The Uniball Air Micro Rollerball looks quite nice. Lamy Safari, you can see it's just not too bleedy, a little bit on this F here, or feathery rather. The Odo Fude Ball, that's 1.5mm, quite a wet rollerball pen there. That one has a touch of bleeding, but other than that, the face of this actually looks pretty good if you ignore the fountain pens. So on the back we do get bleed from the Pilot, that's pretty bad. Bleed from the Mont Blanc, quite bad. Tiny little spots from the Sailor and the Safari, both fines. And, you know, the usual Sharpie bleeds through, the Uniball Air Micro bled through, Stettler permanent marker, Copics, Pilot oil drawing pen bled through. So how does this compare with the standard version with the thinner paper? Well, if you look, so on the left here, this is the standard Moleskine. It looks a lot better. Notice that there's much less feathering on the Pilot 6mm. The Mont Blanc, very, very little feathering. And then the Lamy down here looks really good. The face of this standard Moleskine looks much better than the face of this leather one. And in terms of the feel, it's hard to say which one's smoother. This is obviously a thicker paper, the leather one. On the plus side, you can see way more ghosting with the Moleskine Classic. I mean, that is pretty bad ghosting. This is a lot more minimal, but again, you do get more bleed from that Mont Blanc. The wetter nibs, you are getting more. Although here it seems like the Pilot did worse. Sharpie did worse over here. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, the face of the Classic looks so much nicer than the leather. Let's talk about the binding. So in terms of the binding, I count roughly 11 signatures, which for 176 pages is pretty good. You know, the cover is flexible, and so is the book. Moleskine, in my opinion, makes a very good quality book. I wish their paper was better, but they do make a good quality notebook, and you know, it is something that lies flat. Construction quality of this, I feel like, is quite good. You have, you know, stitched construction and all those signatures, so but from the binding perspective, it's pretty good. So what are my pros and cons for the Moleskine Classic Leather Hardcover Notebook? Well, the biggest pro here is that you do have this very nice Italian leather hardcover. You have good build quality. Moleskine knows how to make a nice quality notebook, good signatures, lays flat. It's a well-made product. I also find that compared to the non-leather, the leatherette Classic Moleskine, the thicker 100 GSM paper is better for ghosting and show through. I also find that this notebook works better for pens other than fountain pens compared to that typical Moleskine Classic. What about cons? Well, it's not very fountain pen friendly. Its fountain pen performance is worse than the cheaper leatherette covered Classic Moleskine. I got really bad feathering and bleed on everything medium, width, and above. Fine, extra fine. You can actually use this and I think be pretty happy. You know, you do have that more minimal ghosting, so if you are someone that loves a fine nib or extra fine nib, this could be a better notebook than the Moleskine Classic for you. The other major con is the price. Somehow Moleskine is asking $45 for this. It's not worth $45. I think I bought mine on Amazon for $30, which isn't too bad. I know I've seen them as low as $20, and at that price, I think this is nice, assuming you like finer nibs or you don't write with a fountain pen. The build quality is there. It is nice, other than the paper. So anyway, that is the Moleskine Classic Leather Hardcover Notebook. Do you guys have this notebook? Do you like this notebook? Let me know in the comments section below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, and until next time.